Hello and welcome to the Growing Green podcast. Your host, Jeremiah Jennings, is the owner of Growing Green Landscapes in Birmingham, Alabama, and has a passion for growing the entrepreneurship community for those who are young in business. Being a business owner isn't easy, especially in the early years, and that's why in this show we dive into a wide range of topics covering all the challenges small business owners deal with. Even if your company is generating $1 million or more, the stories from our great guest and Jeremiah's own firsthand experiences will propel your business forward. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to an episode today here on the Growing Green podcast. It's your host, Jeremiah Jennings, and as you can hear, there's water in the background. We are coming to you live from the hot tub in sunny Orlando, Florida. It is the wintertime here, so usually you would think, why are you in a hot tub in Florida? But it's actually gotten pretty cold this week. We're down on vacation with some family friends of ours, and we're joined tonight, returning guest of the show, Aaron Robertson from Monday's show, and Noah Hunt is also joining us. So how y'all doing tonight, guys?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Feeling fantastic. Hot tub.
I'm excited.
Hot tub is a very generous term. This is a lukewarm tub.
Yeah, this is like this water's like when your bath like just starts getting. I almost want to like turn it off, literally. Like what is it even doing right now? But it's like when your bath water gets cold. Mm-hmm. Do y'all take baths? I do not. I mean, 3 guys in a hot tub talking about taking baths. I don't know how that sounds. To start,
great start.
I don't know how that sounds about starting the show, but yeah, we just was like, hey, let's go talk about life and business and things. Give us a little rundown. So we talked to Aaron on Monday about kind of what your position is, Chick-fil-A, position of leadership there. You've been doing that for a while. And Noah, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you got going on. You're in a big phase of life right now. You just got married, started the business as well. So just kind of give us the rundown on that. Are you the only thing I would say? Are you pushing that jet like that, or is it?
No, it's doing itself.
My gosh, this thing is loud.
Yeah,
people think we're probably like in Niagara Falls, but. Well, maybe some people like it. Maybe it's ASMR. If you hate it, just tune off and come back for the next one. Tell us about yourself, Noah.
They're going to hear some good stuff. So
yeah, I know. You don't want to miss it.
That's a loss. Yeah, like you said, just got married, love it, but went completely 180. I went to college. I was going to be a professor. That was my dream. Wanted to lead and teach and do those things. So I always had that passion for leading, but it was going to be in the teaching kids stuff, and now it's going to be more world life applicable of the stuff that I learned throughout grad school and undergrad. And so, man, I really what happened was I couldn't get a job. Anyway, I applied to, I think, 60-something places right after I finished grad school and couldn't even get an email back.
Really?
Yeah, I mean nothing. And so I was like stressing. Obviously, me and my wife, we were like, what are we going to do? And she's been amazing through all of it. And so a friend of her husband, he came to me and was like, hey man, I started this company. I really want someone to go in with me. And I just kind of told him what I do, which really my background is strategic communication, which is business and branding and things of that matter, and leadership. Like the full title of it is strategic communication and leadership. And so I went into that and told him about what I do, and he was like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So officially the title is director of operations, but I mean, me and him have just gone into it as business partners, and we sit around and talk and have many dreams to open a lot of stuff. But right now it's the moving company, and we had 6 jobs in a row, I think, this week, which was the most we've had in a row. The most we've had in a month, I think, is 10. So
yeah.
We're 6 months old now. I think this will be the 6th month. So
That's crazy. It's been 6 months. I did not realize it's been that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much in its infancy. So that's cool to hear that's up and running. You talk about going to grad school and trying to be a professional things. What was the leading like? What was your original thoughts for doing that? Were you just like, do you like giving to kids, like teaching them life principles? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I was the guy that didn't really want to go to college. We were actually talking about earlier taking our ACT and stuff. I didn't even really apply to colleges or anything. I went to a junior college just because, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went there. Went off to the University of Alabama, and I changed my major a bunch. I ended up in communication just because I took a test, and it kind of put me in that direction. And I took a public speaking course. Went through that public speaking course, and then after that, I went through advanced public speaking, and they asked me to tutor it. And I tutored the first girl I ever tutored. The first kid was this girl I tutored her. I remember she sent me an email and was like, "Thank you so much. I just aced my speech." And I think that was man, I like that. Like, giving someone a piece of knowledge and them saying, I did something with what you gave me. That was the start of like, I want to do this. And so I just ran with it.
Yeah, that's some of the most like humbling messages that we get on the show is like, hey, you talked about this, you taught us how to do it, and then we went and implemented it. That's really good. I mean, Aaron, you work public relations, general public is who you kind of work with, so
Yeah.
it feels like public relations sometimes. But how have you learned the art of communicating over those years? And then we'll second that to you, Noah.
Yeah, it's definitely something for me that's been more of a learned skill because I was pretty quiet when I first started. There was 2 different Aarons at the Chick-fil-A I started at, and the first one was Aaron, and I was Quiet Aaron. That's what they called me at the beginning. 'Cause
Okay.
I was not very communicative. Didn't really see the value in it, but then just over time, I had a general manager at the Parkway location who was a great communicator.
Yeah.
He was a great orator. He was great at giving context and just kind of seeing him model it, and also me being able to learn from him. I was like, hey, this is really effective and it's helpful. And so, okay, it's a tool that can be used. Let me learn how to do it. And I think for me, especially in one-on-one conversations, like in the office or wherever, that's where I've learned a lot about how to get, from point A to point B, and not from a manipulation aspect, but hey, how to ask the right questions. Because I think there's a quote by John Maxwell that says, great leaders ask great questions. And I think a lot of people, wanted to talk a lot, but it's if you want to really communicate to someone else, especially in one-on-one settings, asking a ton of questions.
Yeah, that's something I've tried to work on and learn in 2 years of doing the podcast. Is I've interviewed guests that are worth multi hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's how do you talk to them? I mean, I'm not on their level at all, but you just learn and you learn to listen. That's the thing. I think I've realized the most is public speaking, just communication in general. If you read the book, it should be mandatory high school reading. I preach on this all day long. How to Influence and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yep.
It's one of the most influential books I've ever had in my life, and it's it teaches you how to speak. It teaches you how to communicate. It teaches you how to make friends and build relationships. And so I think that's huge. You talk about not wanting to communicate in the beginning, being a little introverted and things, being quiet. Also, but you also a first-hand example of that is your cousin, right? Speak to that a little bit about how he's kind of moved his way through life without much of an education. I mean, he doesn't have much of an education, right?
Yeah, he's got high school. He did some college, but he didn't graduate.
Yeah,
college.
I mean, just you don't have to talk specifics, but share a little bit how he's used literally just his ways of communication to move his way up the ladder in life.
Yeah, he's always been a great connector with people and also a great communicator. And he's in my wedding. This is January 2016, and then the week after our wedding, he moved to Italy to be an au pair, so a nanny. And then from that, he connected with who he was au pairing for, the guy who owned 5 or 6 companies, kind of learned things from him, and then through just really his ability to connect. And he's a really smart guy as well. He's now in finance, and he really I talked to him on the phone earlier, and he said what he says he does now is he connects people with an idea with people who need funding, and he just connects with people, and he's a connector, and he's I said literally just
Which comes back to communicating.
yeah, and he's a great questions person. He's really interested in people, and so he'll sit around and just ask people questions about their lives, questions about what they do, and he's actually interested. And that's something from that book. It's hey, you actually have to care. You can't just hey, let me check this off the list and ask them about themselves. If you're actually genuinely interested in people, that comes across for sure.
Which is something that you have to work. I have to work on. It's and I think that's just human nature. You sit here, you have conversation, and you're yeah. You obviously like talking about yourself. That's what people. It just is what it is. It's human nature. So if you want to be a master at communicating, you have to sit back and say, let them talk about themselves. I don't need to talk about myself. Let's just pay attention to them, and in turn, they're gonna build that relationship with you because they know that you care about that. I mean, what's your advice from public speaking courses and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny y'all were talking about being an introvert and stuff, and I was the exact opposite. I grew up an extrovert, and so for me it was I was the kid that needed to learn how to shut up a little bit, and so I had public speaking down. I can get in front of an audience, get in front of people. I can talk about myself, can talk about anything, and so something I had to learn is exactly what you just mentioned, was listening. And I didn't even realize that communicating isn't just the words that come out of your mouth. It's the nonverbals we do. It's the way we listen. And so for me, I had to say, okay, yeah, you can get in front of a crowd of people and talk, but do you invest in people? Do you care about people? Do you care what they have to say? And I think that was something that I really started to, and like you're saying, you do have to practice it. I mean, to really care about people. And so I think when I got into grad school, I spent a lot of time because you mentioned your friends not educated, and I'm not one of those people that think, oh, you need to go get a degree and stuff like that, because really what helped me wasn't what my teachers said in class. It was that I would stay after class and ask them more questions. I would listen to them. And once you get to grad school, you at least where I was at, the teachers kind of saw us on their level, so it was really normal for me to hang out with them outside of school, to go grab a coffee with them. And so that's something that you don't have to be enrolled in a school to do, is go get with someone who knows more than you, who you've seen has started a business up, is someone that's successful, someone that has made, is self-made, and go sit down with them and say, what is it that you did to get here? And that's what I did in grad school with my professors, because I was interested in that career path. And that's where I learned, was not talking in front of all those kids, but when I would step away from it and talk to the guy who was there, who's doing it.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I've said this and talked about this on almost every one of our shows. I feel like me and Savannah are pretty young in our life, and I just turned 24 like last week. Savannah's 25, and we still have so much to accomplish in life, but we're doing all right. Like, we're doing all right in life, and it's a big reason I think that we're in that position, like starting a business out of high school and having somewhat of what you would call some worldly success or whatever, is because I've always surrounded myself with people who are older than me and people who are wiser. Like, none of my friends are my age. I'm the youngest of everybody. Like, everybody I'm friends with, like, told me happy birthday last week. Like, how old are you now? I told them how old they were. Like, no, like, you're kidding me. There's no way. And it's like, not because we've done anything. It's simply because that's who I choose to surround myself with. And when you do that, like, it's something my parents always told me when I was growing up, and always told me, and I was like, it's so annoying to hear as a kid, but like, we're just wiser. That's what they're all like. We just have years of knowledge. When they're 40 and you're 17 and you're like, you think you know best.
Yep. And
you don't want to understand. You don't want to listen to them at that point. But it's so true. Like, it's so true. Just those years of wisdom. I mean, and you kind of are that way, right? Like, you've gotten around some mentors that are older than you, Aaron, and Mark and things. So,
yeah, it's funny. My cousin Jerry we talked about earlier, he literally said today, he's talking about like this group he was hanging out with. He's like, I'm by far the dumbest person, and he said, and the poorest person in that room. And he's like, I love it. Yeah. He's like, that's where I want to be.
Yeah. And to give some context here, this dude's hanging out with 100 millionaires on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, that's it just is what it is, because he puts himself in the right place at the right time. He listens to people, and it's communication. It's nothing that he can like, oh, I did this. I mean, you kind of can, because he's learned how to communicate, but it's just like he's perfected things that he's perfected and got in the right circles.
Yeah.
Your network is your net worth. People say that all the time. It's a cliche thing, but it's very true. It's very, very true. So tell me let's talk about, this is kind of an odd one. Talk about firing a little bit. You've been in a position that you've had to let people go. I think that's something that's hard for guys if you're young in business. You hire your first employees. It's hard for me. We've had to go through that this year. I think I fired 2 or 3 guys this year, and it's not easy. Talk about the hiring and the firing process. Like, what do you look like? What do you look for at a team like of Chick-fil-A? You're bringing on team members. You have to have a lot of them. It's a lot of the times it's young employees that are starting a first or second job. Like, what are some key things that you're saying, hey, this is a good fit for our team, bringing in the right people, but then also, like, when the wrong person gets brought in, how do you weed them out? And then also just, like, the actual firing process of how do you do this, like an adult and respectful.
Yeah. There's a saying, slow to hire, quick to fire. And we're not always perfect with that at our restaurant, but I think we have a very elongated hiring process, and our HR director does a really good job of bringing in typically really good quality people. But it's really hard to read people in in-interviews. I've hired in the past, and I've definitely totally misread some people for sure.
Have you had somebody that's like a total bust?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't want to go into the specifics.
Yeah,
but like happened, he was a older guy. Like, he was in his at this point, I was, like probably 28. He was like in his mid-30s.
Yeah.
And he knew what to say in the interview.
He had done it a few times.
He'd done it a few times. And it should have been a red flag for me, not just his age, but like just that he had an answer for everything because it seemed too good to be true, and it was.
Bro, we literally went through that this year. The
And-
last person we hired, yeah.
And it, like, he ended in like a really bizarre way, like just got in our group chat and was like cussing up a storm and like
Really?
walked out. It was wild, and I was like, that's on me. But so anyway, like I said, it's hard to always get it right at the beginning, but typically we do a really good job of that. And I think for us, it comes down to like cultural things. Like, we can be a little more patient with someone who's like slow to learn a position or not moving as fast. But if they're, clearly not a good fit for the culture, like they're, disrespectful, or they're, obviously like using profanity or things like that. Like it's very clear, especially when you have a good culture, when someone's not a good fit for it. Typically, they kind of stick out. And we say this in our orientation that like, hey, typically, the bad apples will weed themselves out, or we'll find them and weed them out. But it really is pretty clear when they are bad apples because of just the culture that we have at the store. So that's kind of the process. Now we got to go through proper documentation and all that as well, just so we don't get sued. Even though we can technically in Alabama terminate for no reason, we still have to document it. As far as the termination process, this is something that I've had to learn, and that general manager I mentioned earlier, Luke, he kind of taught me, like, be very quick and concise with it, and don't make it a long conversation. Because I've did that the first couple ones, tried to just like talk them through, because I really cared. I want some of them, like, we fire, like, they're good kids, they're dumb, or they're not where they need to be, and we don't want them
They
to
just make a bad decision,
whatever, and or just they just have a really bad upbringing they can't overcome. And trying to like talk them through things, and it just gets really hard during the conversation. So trying to separate it, like, hey, here's the business decision, and if there is something, like, hey, if you want to reach out afterwards, we'll connect. And I've kept some good relationships with people I fired over the years. It's funny, we have a Chick-fil-A, or it was a church league that actually Jeremiah and Noah's played in one time, and this is years ago, but I actually fired a guy one day. And then he was on the team, and I played with him that night.
No way.
In basketball, yeah. And
He didn't pass you the ball at all.
we actually played pretty well together because he understood that it was for the right reason.
Yeah.
And he says hey to me if he ever comes in the store now. So I
Really?
feel like it's, if you do it the right way, do it with respect, and like I said, like I've learned to try to keep it more concise. Typically, they can go pretty well. It's never easy, even if like you're firing someone like for something legitimate, unless they're just a real basket case. It really is hard because you're telling them they're a failure in some ways, and that they're not good enough for this job. And that's hard for me to say to somebody because I don't ever want to put limitations on somebody. But I think sometimes we need to hear that, like, hey, where you are right now are not where you need to be in this position, so you've got to change. And then we can't affect the change, they've got to affect the change.
So you're saying that's kind of the conversation you have with those people who don't who don't do drugs and show up high or something. It's like that's the kind of conversation you're having with people that just aren't performing, like they're not fitting in the culture.
Yeah, like if they're a good kid, like I'll try to like have that conversation more. But if it's a pretty bad apple, then it'd be pretty quick. Conversation.
Yeah, that because that's my thing. Like, I think in our situation, in our industry, and no, you'll probably see this as y'all's business grows as well. Like, you start bringing on employees and things, and it's not that the employee is like bad. They might not be a bad person. They might not. They might even work pretty well. Like, they might be good laborers, but they just don't fit what your company wants to do and where your company wants to go. And I think that's been the hardest thing for me this year is one, finding that person, but then two, that thing's like turned into.
I'm trying to keep it out of the water, man.
That's crazy. That thing's getting wild over there. That is the water. So that's what we're talking about there. You get into the point of not only are you trying to find the right person, but when you've built and established a culture, then like when you have to let that person go, it's just like figuring out that conversation. And I think what you're saying is right. Like, make it quick and concise, because I have somebody who is at a high level of a company, like number 2 in the company, made a special trip, flew all the way to another state just to fire somebody. And I was like, how did that go? Like, you're firing a high level person there. And he said he walked in, he explained the situation, he told him what he did, why they were doing it, and he said he got his stuff, watched him get his stuff, and he walked out of the office. And it was like a pretty quick process. And I think that's something, like you're saying, like quick, concise, to the point. You don't let your emotions get involved. You don't let things drag out longer than they should. Like, you give me your keys, you give me the credit card back, whatever your employee has, and you move on. I think that's something that we're trying to work on as we gain new employees, as we have turnover. Turnover is going to happen, but I think the culture thing is what we're looking for the hardest this year. Is like how we create that culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think the thing you're hoping for too is people that are seeking success. When you get fired from a position, you're going to see a lot of people who say they're going to blame it on everywhere they go. There's someone who's been fired from 3 or 4 different jobs. Now you're the 5th job they've been fired from. And again, and it's so sad because their mentality is just, well, that place, that my boss here was just an a-hole. Or, well, my people that I worked with was this. The manager I had there, they just did, but what you hope is that kid or, whoever it is, might be an adult, but they say, you know what, they're right. Like, I really, screwed up here. Or I really wasn't, I was showing up late. I wasn't always on my best. And they make that change to say, well, I'm not going to, moving forward, I know what I need to do to keep that job and stay successful. And I think from what you were saying, where it's like, and I don't have that experience yet of fire anyone. I've hired, only 2 guys now, and because we're only 4 months old. But what I have had to deal with is students and having to either say, hey, you're failing my class, or things like that. And I think where you have to approach it from, you're talking about, you don't want to say you're a failure, is not that, hey, we're good and you're bad, so now we've got to separate. It's like, we're just in this place and you're in that place, and so we're not working. Maybe you're going to go off and do something way better than I'm doing now, and way better than my company's doing, and that's great. I hope the best for you, but just where we're at now is not working. And the conversation, I always call it a compliment sandwich, and this really only works for more of a, when you're, getting on to someone, but it's always like you start with what you appreciate about that person, give them the critique, and then finish with another thing you appreciate about that person.
It almost sounds like it came out of a good book. Almost sounds like a principle.
Well, it's not. I would love to say that was mine. It was given to me by another teacher.
They talk about that in How to Win Friends.
Yeah,
that's what he talks about.
And so, I unfortunately, I'm not one of those people that's just full of great advice. Everything I tell you, if it sounds good, I got it from someone else who's a lot smarter than me.
I think it's all of us.
That's how you learn.
And that kid, I remember I had a kid come in, and it was just, he was a good kid. I loved the kid a lot, but it felt like every day I would have to threaten him with leaving the room or writing him up or something. And finally one day I just brought him along, and the first thing I said, I was like, look, I'll be honest with you, blank. I was like, I really like you. I love having you in my class. I don't want you to leave. And I was like, told him, I was like, but you are distracting me. Everybody doing this. And then I, finished up with, I hope tomorrow and I hope following, like, well, you'll keep coming, you'll show back up to class. Yeah. Because when you're teaching college kids, they don't have to come back. They can just skip class all they want to. And so I think that's the biggest thing I've learned. Again, that'll be something I'll have to really work on. It's a firing process, and where we're at now is more just building that culture, like y'all talked about. Because I've sat down for hours on end building like a training module, and not just to say this is how we do everything, but this is what we expect out of you. This is the culture we're building. So the first thing starts with our 4 pillars of success, like what we think, not just in our industry, but in any industry. If you follow these 4 things, we think you can be successful. Yeah. And because we want to bring on a group of guys that, again, are aligned with the culture that we have, and it's hard to do that in an interview. It's hard to be like, oh, tell me a time where you showed integrity. Yeah. And it's really, unfortunately, sometimes it takes you hiring a few bad apples to be like, okay, these are the signs. I can figure this out in an interview next time that I missed.
Yeah, it's definitely a process of like trial and error, I think. And one thing we're doing now is like we're going to start bringing on like trial. Like I'm not going to hire you as a full-time W-2 employee until you work with us for at least a week, because we want to see if we're going to fit the culture. Like I don't want to go through all these. When you start hiring legitimate employees, Aaron, this, like W-2 actual workers that are tax normal, and you have to. There's a lot of reporting to do to the state. It's a process. Yep. It's not just some like, hey, come show up to work. And so I don't want to be doing that. It's not good for me to do that over and over and over again to find out like they're just a bad apple. So we're going to start doing some type of like trial, like come test for a week, see if you like it, if you're a good fit, and then we'll go on to something a little more permanent if it is a good fit. Because you can read people usually within the first couple of days of like working on a job with somebody. Yeah. You're going to see, are they stepping up to the plate? Are they doing things without having to be asked? And that's one of the things that I think that I try to do, being in the leadership role of owning the company, is like I want to be the example. I don't ever want somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do. Mm-hmm. Same way as you work. Like, what's the worst job at Chick-fil-A?
Your job?
No, definitely not my job. anymore.
Making milkshakes,
I
refilling
mean,
the tea.
Something probably to do with raw chicken cleaning in the back because it can get. Gross
But
back
you
there.
are at the. But I believe you, and like I know I can say this and know that it's true. Like, if you needed to, you would go bread the raw chicken. Like you're not above them, so that you wouldn't do that. And so like,
Yeah.
most of those guys there probably realize that the way you carry yourself. That if you needed to, you would get down there with them and you would do it.
Yeah.
And you're not asking them to do something that you would not do yourself. And I think that's something that's huge in building that initial culture, is knowing that, hey, there's a team of – that dude came down here and turned around like 4 times the other night when I was out here. Security at these places think they're just like top dogs. Like, it's wild.
You know, he's got a taser in there just ready to go.
100%. He's going to see an alligator walk out of the pond and go after it. I'm hoping one of the alligators doesn't come up. We're literally 20 feet from a pond with alligators in it that we've seen. So hopefully they stay on in there. But, yeah, I mean, it's a wild thing. That building the culture, the firing, all of that is something that we're working on. And I hope this, like I said, guys, this is not life-changing stuff. This is just simple, like, discussions of things that I'm trying to do, things that obviously works in a scalable company such as Chick-fil-A. Noah's starting to do this like in their company, moving as they grow. So I hope it is some benefit to you there. I mean, is there anything? What are we missing? Where do y'all want to go?
Well, I was going to add on to that. I think, you know, one thing that helps in our business, and probably for you guys too, like, you know, your team seeing you do those jobs and knowing that, you know, in our Chick-fil-A specifically, you know, we've all worked our way from the bottom up. Like, we don't have any managers or leaders that are hired from the outside. So, like, they know that, you know, the things they've done that we've all done at some point in our career. And then even, like, you know, in our position, like, you know, I have a lot of things I do. You know, we have, like, on-shift or off-shift work. And, like, you know, like 95% of my work is off-shift, so not, like, in the operation. But, like, if things are needed and, like, the big catering order or shorthanded, like, you know, I'll plug in and help. Any of our leaders would do that. I think you said, like earlier, that really sets the standard of, like, hey, what is the priority? And it's the guest experience. And so if we're not setting that standard, then they're not going to filter that down when we're not there.
That's good.
I think I've learned a lot more from bad bosses than I have, or at least just as much from bad bosses as I have good bosses. And the one thing I've always said is, you know, if you have a really just crappy job, and maybe it's just because it's labor intensive or it's just bad hours, whatever it may be, but you've got a boss that you would just run through a brick wall for, you're going to stay at that job longer than a job that's nice and cushy, good hours, and you just cannot stand your boss. And I think that was something that me and my business partner were really wanted to, you know, do together, was like, we want to do everything. And right now we have to. I mean, we're the marketers, the salesmen, the physical laborers. But also at the same time is we want our guys to know, like, hey, if somebody called out of a shift, like, we're going to show up. We're going to be there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the big thing for me is I want to be a leader that my guys want to go to bat for. And that it comes from doing the stuff that's just not fun.
Yeah, and the basics, like you talked about, you know, hey, like, this stuff isn't, like, life-changing stuff, but, like it really is doing the basics right consistently. And that's, you know, what really separates, you know, Chick-fil-A from our competitors is, like, we focus on the basics and we talk about the basics and we measure the basics and we have, like, you know, structure for the basics. And that's what creates long-term success. It's like, you know, people want to look for the big thing in life, like the big movers, but it's the daily habits, the daily things you're doing every day that really creates long-term success. And it's boring sometimes, but, like, it's the foundation to, you know, one day having a big movement in, you know, your operation, your business, whatever. And it's really the basics that get you there.
Yeah, you talk structure for success. Like, I think that's a huge thing is when you're not putting systems and processes in place early in your business, like you mentioned, some type of training manual or module or whatever it looks like for you and your company. Like, I would love to see Chick-fil-A's training process over a McDonald's. Like, it just is what it is. Like, I don't care to talk about people on the show. Like, I would love to see the difference there, because, like, when you go to a Chick-fil-A or you go to this is a great example because it's fresh on our minds. You go to a Disney World per se.
Oh yeah.
Like, Disney is huge. Like, they've scaled. Like, what did we say their annual revenue was? Disney and the parks did what, $30 billion last year?
Yeah, $30 billion
just between their parks.
Yep.
Just their parks in Orlando.
79, like, for the whole company, right? 79 billion?
Yeah. Just their theme parks did $30 billion. Billion with a B. They have successfully scaled, I would say. I've never had a bad experience with a Disney employee. Ever. I've never talked to a Disney employee where they have not been like happy and willing to help. And I haven't come a ton. It happens. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, though, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they are in a good mood. They're willing to help the customer. And what does that come back to? It comes back to their training processes and the way they're brought on and the culture that has been implemented.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes like when Walt was building his company in the very beginning, if he didn't put those things in place in the beginning with 2, 3, 4 guys, same thing with Truett. Like, if he didn't build that first store, or how you probably know the history better than I do, but like, if you don't make that key for your first couple employees, how are you ever going to do that at scale?
The Lawntrepreneur Academy is your online destination for learning how to grow a successful lawn and landscaping company.
Hi, this is Scott from New Jersey. I just want to say that Brian puts out some great content. Definitely has helped me grow my lawn and landscape business. Just finished my 4th or 5th coaching call with Brian, and every time I get off a call, I'm definitely ready to go out there and crush it. I also just recently purchased the whole ball of wax from Lawntrepreneur Academy. Loving all the content. Brian's definitely out there looking out for our best interest and trying to help us grow a bigger and better business.
The link is in the show description. Make your business as successful as possible with training and resources from the Lawntrepreneur Academy.
Yeah, so it's funny, like we talk about a little bit of Chick-fil-A history and orientation, and a lot of people don't know that he actually invented the chicken sandwich, like patented it, like Truett Cathy did. Like,
really?
There was no 2 buns and a chicken fillet before him that was, like, widespread. So he actually licensed it out to other restaurants at first, because he had Dwarf House's first restaurant. He sold it there, but he licensed out the chicken sandwich, and he pulled it back because of quality concerns. He wanted it to be done the right way, and he would visit places and they weren't doing it the right way. So he had that mind for quality and consistency then, and you go to Chick-fil-A now in Birmingham or Washington or New York, it's the same chicken sandwich because, like you said at the beginning, he was focused on quality, and he built it over time. Because you're not gonna add those things in later on. You can, but it's a lot harder to move the ship when it's a lot bigger.
Yeah, 100%. And this kind of backing up to what you were talking about, Noah, a minute ago. Like, I've heard people say who've grown companies and scaled companies, your best sales and marketing team and HR department are your employees. Because when you have employees who are raving about like working for you and enjoying their job and enjoy their leadership and the culture that they're working in, they're gonna it's gonna translate to your customers, because they're gonna be happy on the job site. They're gonna be talking to the people in a positive way. They're gonna go above and beyond to help the customer out, and it's also gonna bring in great people. Like, there's your hiring team right there. Those people are gonna bring their friends in. It happens at Chick-fil-A all the time. You start at high school at 16 years old. You go to school. Oh, you got a job. I want a job. Oh, well, I work at Chick-fil-A. It's a good environment. It's pretty good hours. We make decent money. Come work here. Mm-hmm. And like that, it is what it is. Like the proof is in the pudding. And so, guys, I think you just have to stop. And when you're at the beginning of the business, and maybe you're not at the beginning of the business, but you realize you've gone on for 5 or 10 years and you have no culture, you have no process, you have no system, you have no training. You've got to reset and go back to zero in those areas. Yep. And this is, I'm talking to myself included. Like, these are things that we're going to be doing in the spring that we've never done before to this level. So I'm excited to do that and implement it. We're coming up on the end of 2023 here. Fiscal year's ended for a lot of companies. When is y'all's end?
Yeah, 2023 at the end of the year. Yeah.
It ends December.
Okay. December 31st.
Okay. I know some people run it in like October or November, right? Don't they end?
Yeah, some end in October.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
I don't know how that works. I just know that it does. So it shows how up to date on what is the word, educated on finances that I am. But I'm just sitting here trying to build our business and learn from others. We're coming up on the end of the year. We've been talking a lot of money on this trip, just like systems, principles, like mindsets of money. I think a lot of guys that are listening to this show, probably myself included, are sitting here looking at your bank account and you're like, this is not what I want to have in here at the end of 2023. Rough year in business. We didn't make enough profit. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. What are y'all's takes on, like, let's talk a little bit of finance. Just like, what are some things you do in your personal life that you want to maybe share about and talk? Because, Aaron, we've talked about this. You work a W job. You have the entrepreneur mindset, the investing, the growing the real estate. Know you're starting out, like going into the business. So, like, you're learning and growing as you do this as well. So, what are y'all's? I don't know. Just talk through your finances. Like, what are some processes and things that you're trying to implement moving forward in life? Because for us, it's like we're trying to invest regularly, get some of those things set up, and you can never invest too much into yourself. I'm a big believer in that, as far as like educating yourself, putting yourself in the right rooms, right scenarios, and situations. So yeah, what are you? Nothing specific.
I think some of the times, I think I go through phases where I'm like nailing it with my, budgeting and my personal finances. And I go through phases where I'm like not, where I need to be. I'd say I'm more in the middle right now.
Yeah.
And I think the times I've been the most successful, like in like having a budget, sticking to it, like investing, is like when I automate more things. Like when I have my, we just have a Roth IRA that we invest in. When I have that set up to automatically withdraw every 2 weeks and then automatically invest in a certain, account. Or in certain investments, which for me is just the total stock market index. Then that's taken care of, and I can focus on other things. But the more I have to like manually like do things myself, the more like I tend to fail over time, and also just having more margin in our finances, because we the last year and a half, so we have one rental property that was our old house or condo we lived in. Now we have a current mortgage. We also have a car loan that we didn't have before, and just more expenses overall. So like we don't have as much margin as we used to. So we're having to learn how to live on less margin. But also I want to have that margin back because I realize just the freedom it brings to have more margin. So I think living a life with margin, but like you said earlier, like focusing on how can I make more money to have that margin, not save less. I think Elon Musk had a quote that says like he said it's infinitely easier to make more money to create margin than it is to save money to create margin. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to really think that that's true, but like it really is. Like there's so many opportunities. In today's world, There's so many opportunities out there. You just have to be willing to find them and go after them. It's not easy.
That's the thing. You got to realize it's not to. You got to work for it.
Yeah.
People think it's overnight.
Yeah, and you have failures, and we've had business failures in our life. We've had an Amazon business we tried to get up and running. Ran into COVID issues with that, and but yeah, I would say for me, just automating as much as you can and having margin helps like personal finances to be successful, at least in our case.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're pretty young, like I've been mentioning, but we set some end of year goals that we just, as far as revenue goes, and it started from. Let's just do this one thing. We know if we can do this thing, and it was have so many we call them interested conversations with potential clients. It's like we can have this many interested conversations with potential clients. We can make our revenue goal by the end of the year. So we set, and God has blessed us unbelievably, and we crushed our end of year goals. And so we're, really sitting in a good spot, a lot better than we thought we would. And our biggest thing was just, I saw once that it was like you, and I think me and Aaron may have talked about this the other day. It was like if you take two salesmen and their goal is to make $100,000, and one makes $100,000, and you see his phone calls go down, you see he starts coming to work a little bit later because he hit his goal, and you see the other guy hits $100,000 and his phone calls double. He's coming to work an hour earlier, staying an hour later, and that's kind of been our mentality. It's like we crushed our end of year goal, and we were talking. I'm not with him right now because we're on vacation. We were talking yesterday, and I said, man, let's ramp up those interested conversations. And I think for us, like our biggest thing is just we still haven't paid ourselves yet, and it's in a weird way. It's like we see how much our company's making, we still don't want to pay ourselves. We've been pushing that back. Like I don't make a dime, he doesn't make a dime, and it's going into our business account. But I mean, it's going into our personal accounts.
Yeah, you're reinvesting. Yeah,
and so I think that was the biggest thing and you just mentioned like investing into yourself, and so that's pretty much what we're doing. We work 40, 50 hours a week, making phone calls, putting together a training manual, putting stuff together for our Instagram, and that's it. There's nothing on Friday. Nothing hits my bank account.
Yeah, it's tough.
And it is. But I as I was growing up, I always thought like just save as much money as I can. If I can just save as much money as I can. And now I'm thinking if I can just put more money into this thing. And so one of the biggest things I want to start doing come January is investing more into property. And my partner, he's got 5 or 6 properties himself, and he flips homes, and so that's your best hedge against inflation is real estate. So that's something that I really plan on investing in come next year is rental properties.
When did you have that flip from save to create, or whatever you want to?
Probably this year for sure. I'm the type that I've just been a saver in general. I have a hard time spending money on myself. I'll go into a store, I'll pick a pair of pants up, and I'll walk around the store more, and I'll put the pants back. I just have a hard time spending money on myself. My wife, not that this is a negative thing, but her thing is she wants to spend money on experiences like this trip.
Yeah.
I mean, we were stressing. I was like, babe, we're trying to make a, growing this company. I mean, this is going to be hard for us to do. But her mindset was, I want to do this for Mill. This will be a great thing for Mill. And I appreciate that, because then I was able to say, you know what, you're right, let's do this. And so then my mindset turned into, okay, I don't want to save a bunch of money, because what does that do? And that was something my dad also told me, is not to hoard money. But now if I grow the money that I have and I invest in things, what more can I do for Sam and Mill and future kids we have? So that's, I think, getting married and having a child turned it into, if I save money, my kids can't do anything, my wife can't do anything with that money, it's just sitting in a bank account. But if I invest it in my family, invest it in myself, and I grow, my net worth, then my kids can have things that I want to do. My wife can be a stay-at-home mom like she wants to do, and homeschool like she wants to do. And that's the stuff that's important to me.
Yeah. No, that's huge. I mean, there comes up when you reach that point of realizing that, and truth be told, getting your spouse on board. That's the thing. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy to get your spouse on board with that mindset if they're not used to it. If they've been raised differently, if they've gone, just like Savannah was not raised that way. Savannah was raised same, like save. We're strict budget. We don't do this. We don't do that. And that's been kind of a thing of like it's hard for her to take risk. Those are things that we've had to work through in our marriage, because my brain just isn't wired that way. Like it's hard. It's hard. Like, it is genuinely just me being open, real, and honest. Like, it is hard for me to have conversations and be around people who are so close-minded like that. Like, I have to genuinely just, like, suppress myself and, like, make myself shut up, because I will say things that are totally inappropriate to be said, just of no ill will or intent, just because my brain can't think. Like, it literally does not operate that way. When they say, like, they won't spend money here, they won't spend money there, they won't. And I'm not against saving money. You need to save money. That's not what I'm saying. You don't spend all the money you have. But it's just the mindset of, like, I hear people talk about going to the same job every day that they hate, or things like that. And I'm like, change it.
Yeah.
Like, that's my mindset. Like, there's no one locking you in a box and throwing the key away. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you go through life with this mindset of, I'm stuck here, I can only make this much money, I have to save my $6,000 a year for my Roth and let it grow, and that's it. Like, that's where I start to have issue. Is when you feel like and you live life like you're locked in a box like that. Like, you're not. Everyone has the same potential to do anything. Like, 2 years ago, did you think you were running a moving company? Like, no.
I moved down to Florida with my car and my clothes. That was it. That's all I had when I moved down. I didn't have an apartment yet. I didn't have anything. And I was like, it'll figure itself out.
Yeah. Yeah, so you kind of have that mindset. Chase did not turn the timer up. Everybody got real everybody got happy the waves quit, though. Chase, you going to turn the timer back on? Going to get cold in here.
Yeah, we don't want to be in a cold tub.
No, not at all.
Oh, that'd be an interesting podcast, a cold
Oh,
plunge.
man.
Well,
That'd be a quick podcast.
Kevin Hart does that.
Oh, you're right. He does
Cold
do
as
that.
balls, I think is what it's called.
Really?
Yeah. And they sit in it. They make it last longer by they start with just their feet in it.
Okay.
And then they'll get down. So that way he can actually make it last a little longer. But
I want to do one day just for the, like, just to say I've done it. People that do it every day, I don't know. Like, me and you talk like just taking a cold shower. Like, that's hard.
I did it for, I think I made it a week. And then I was like, I got to go back
fully
to a warm
submerging myself. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how. I would, like, hyperventilate. I don't know how I would. Like, you have to. So did you get to the point?
I've probably done like probably 15 ice baths this year, because I got into running, and it helps with my legs. Like, oh my god, like if I didn't do it, I would have like been in trouble.
Really?
I do enjoy ice. Like, I know after I had knee surgery, I would ice my knee every day after a workout, or I would go play ball, and I genuinely enjoyed. I looked forward to it, like going and getting that ice and wrapping around my knee. I looked forward. So I could see that, like if I was into like running and stuff like that, just at least my waist down, just getting in an ice bath, I feel like that would be.
Yeah, I usually got shoulders down, and it took some getting used to. But I do cold showers every morning, and I started last November, and it's gotten easier.
Yeah.
Down here it's actually not even that cold. Like up in Alabama right now, it's actually pretty cold.
Yeah.
And then when we went on a trip to Switzerland last year, that was the coldest cold I've ever
You
taken
stuck
in my
with them?
life. I didn't do it all the way cold there because it felt like a glacier. It was like in the mountains. But yeah, at first I had to do I told myself, I said, once I get in there, once I start counting down from 5, it's like once you get to 1, there's no decision to be made. I'm gonna step in there. And so at first I had to count down from 5 every time. Now I get in there and I start to count down and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it anyway. So I just walk right in the cold water. So it
How
gets
long
easier.
do you take the whole shower like that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you wash pretty quickly?
Now I don't I don't wash my hair every morning. So like sometimes I'm just doing my face and my body. So it's like a 2 or 3 minute shower.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely not my long shower of the day. When I get home at night, that warm shower is
That
the
warm,
long
okay.
one.
Yeah.
I think I could do it, take a normal shower, normal hot shower, and then turn it to cold and let it run over me for 20 seconds and then
That's
hop out.
that's what I do.
That's how
could
most
do
people get started.
Yeah,
and
that's what I do.
you
'Cause
just,
I feel like I used to do that as a kid, actually, when I was in high school and I was just not awake. I would real quickly turn on and hop out, and that was just like,
Shoot, after I did that, I started doing that after basketball games and stuff. Just hitting it for 30 seconds. I don't know, it might not actually do anything, but in my mind it did. It made me feel better, running on my bones and stuff, just muscles. It felt like it worked. And
hey, I'm sure some of it's a placebo effect.
I was literally about to say that I'm actually a big believer in the placebo to an extent. But I think if you can do something that puts you in a mindset of positivity, then I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, don't go full cultish with it and think that you can do anything. But
like crystals,
right? Yeah. Oh God, don't even get me started. But I definitely think that if you can take that time to, like you were saying, you just felt better. It's the same thing with I'm not superstitious, but I remember when I was playing sports, if I had a pair of socks that I played good in, I wanted to keep wearing them. And I genuinely didn't think that it made me play better. But if I felt better,
you just wouldn't wash them.
No. But I did have the pleasure of my coach in high school was Brody Krull, who was played at Alabama and played in the NFL, and he would always say you feel good, you play good, they pay good, and so that was just kind of the mentality I would have. I mean, I wouldn't get paid; I was just a high school kid, but I genuinely, you feel good, and that to now I think if I wake up, I have a good breakfast, I spend some time with my wife, I think that just sets the day for me. And again, there's nothing physical that's happening there, but mentally it just sets your day above another day,
especially doing in the morning, having those wins early on. I'm sure there's that video on YouTube of that military guy who talks about making your bed. I'm sure everybody's seen that. Jocko. Jocko. And I don't make my bed every morning because Abby's asleep when I get up, but when I feel like I get my morning routine done in the morning, I feel so much more confident going into the day, even though I think some of it is a placebo effect because I'm not going to be that much different after just the little bit I did that morning, but the consistency that's brought and even just the checking that off the list, you feel like, okay, I've started the day productive, heading in the right direction, I want to continue the day as well.
Jordan Peterson talks about that in his book For 12 Rules of Life, and he talks about make your bed. Just every day, just make your bed. That was one of the rules, and it's not because making your bed's going to do anything, like you're saying, to you that actually makes you a better person, but it's a consistent behavior. And I think that really it's just discipline. If you discipline yourself, and I think one of the big things that really I've been focused on later, and I don't remember who said this to me, but I always struggle with things like, man, I'm just not motivated, and it can be anything, going to the gym, eating cleaner, sitting down and doing some stuff for work when I just don't want to. And I would always say, man, I'm just not motivated. And I remember I was talking to this guy who's a big gym buff, and I was like, how do you do that? And he said, I'm not motivated either. He said, but I'm disciplined.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, oh, and so I think that's been my mentality as of late, is to not focus so much on do I feel motivated, but because I don't feel motivated, do I have the discipline to do whatever it is that day that I'm not feeling motivated to do.
Yeah.
There were a lot of days on Sunday Hard I was not motivated, but we were disciplined. We were disciplined, and 2 workouts a day, I did not want to do it, but we did it. And it just literally comes back to, Andy Frisella talks about that all the time. He calls it your B voice. There's a voice in the back of your head that wants to shut you down, wants to keep you in the bed, doesn't want you to get up. And it's you cannot let that voice win, especially not in the morning like that. Mm-hmm. Because when it does, your whole day is going to be thrown off. And I will say that, back to the whole like morning routine and things. That's different for everybody. For some people, it might be waking up at 8 o'clock. Like you might just be you wake up at 8, but you stay up until midnight and work. Like it just depends on what it is for you. I think, excuse me, I think across the board, usually getting up early is effective. And like for me, we play basketball at 5 a.m. sometimes, and it's like a couple times a week. And people are like, 5 a.m. Like, what do you do to play basketball at 5 a.m.? I'm like, that's the way that I get up and get moving. And like at 4:30 when my alarm goes off, I'm like, I do not want to do this. Like they got 12 guys, they can do it. Like we're good. I don't need to be there. But then I like lay there. I'm like, God, okay, let's get up. And I get up, and the first 10 minutes suck. Like the first 10 minutes are just terrible. But then you get in the car and you start driving, and you get there, you get moving, and by 6:15, 6:30, I'm like, I'm so glad I did this. There has never been a day I've woken up and gone and played, and when we finished, I said, I wish I wouldn't have played.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it comes back to is like, you get up, you do your routine, whatever that is for you. How many times once you finish that and you progress with your day, are you going to be like, man, I wish I didn't do that today?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but what's going to happen is like when you don't get up and you say, God, like I wish I would just got up and started my day. Like we should have just done it. Like now my whole day's thrown off. And yeah, I mean I don't know. It's
the shower theory.
Theory.
You're never going to regret taking a shower. You're never going to be like, man, I wish I didn't take that shower.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I've never regretted taking a shower.
Maybe
before.
some people the cold shower, maybe.
Yeah. Once you get in it, you're like, I
Warm
severely
shower
regret
This
theory.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a like turn it all the way to hot guy?
No, I'm like, no, I mean, but Abby is. She
I think
freaking-
women are that
We were
way.
just talking about that the other night.
Like,
Women
it
take
burns your
the-
skin.
Yeah. And I'll have it on like what I think is very hot, and Sam will be like, oh, it's cold. And I'm like
Is that a plane?
struggling.
It's a drone.
There
looked
was apparently SpaceX is supposed to have some. My cousin lives down here, and he was telling me they've got some stuff coming back in. To,
Orbit?
yeah,
Like coming back in.
They launched.
We saw it launch. Were you here?
Monday.
that's what it was. That
Were you-
was
yeah.
No, but I didn't see it. But that's what he said they were launching. That's what
We
it
got
was.
a video of
Yeah.
it Monday.
Y'all got to see the launch.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
that's
cool.
That was
that's what
sick.
it was.
It was just a massive ball of fire, and then we watched it. Once it detached, they came back down and landed.
I did hear, and he was telling me this. I think today actually. He was saying if you pay attention, you'll see satellites too. But
That's wild.
Yeah,
I
it
know.
is. Technology. What were we?
Yeah.
What were we saying? What was? Oh, the hot shower. Yeah, it's women in general.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
yeah.
Hot
they-
water. Like my mom, like when
Scalding
she would
hot.
wash dishes, like I would be like, "What do you do?" And Savannah's the same way now. Like she will turn that water on as hot as it can be, washing dishes, and I'm like, I touch it. I feel like layers of my skin are coming off, and they're like, "Oh, that's normal."
I don't know. Their
built
pain
different.
index, I think, is just different. I mean, they have to deliver a baby.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
know. It's just.
That's probably it.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, I
Abby's going
stubbed
up
my
to that.
toe in there, and I thought I was going to lose it. I break down
So
and cry.
funny. Oh man, yeah, we were playing some pool. Aaron and Noah are pool sharks. in
Oh,
case
you
beat us
anybody-
twice by
Jeremiah beat us
yourself.
twice by himself.
In case
Yeah.
anybody didn't know, they were trying to. What is the word?
Hustle.
Yeah,
hustle.
trying to hustle me pretty big, but came
Yeah,
out with a dub when I needed to. So stepped up to the plate. Man, it's been a good trip. It's been fun.
For sure.
I think it is crucial time. You need to take time to get away. Like you're saying, though, like it's not always easy. It doesn't always make financial sense. If we're being
That's
totally
it-
honest.
it- literally, it caused arguments. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember I was like, "This is not." It's funny you said financial sense. I remember having to be like, "It is not financially wise for us to do this trip right now."
yeah,
But and just absolute. I mean, Sam did amazing. I mean, she literally worked so hard, was saving up all her money, and it was because she had a goal and said, "I want to make this happen." And it was all about. It wasn't about her being selfish saying, "I want to take a vacation. I want to have a vacation." It was all about Mill.
yeah.
And I thought that was just I just think she was incredible. I'm so proud of her because she was like, I want this. I want to do this thing. And she worked and she saved up all the money and she we made it happen. I mean, so she did
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
it was I had to just say, you know what? You're right. This is a trip that would be good for us. It'd be good for our family and memories for Mill. And now that I'm here, I mean, I'm so glad. I mean, it's so much fun watching Mill run up to Mickey and Minnie and stuff. And
And it's one of those things. Like rarely at the end of a trip like this do you say, "Man, I wish I would have stayed home." Like that
Yeah.
rarely happens. I wish I would have worked more. Like that typically doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I think we were talking, maybe we mentioned this the other day, but like getting to, it was on the podcast the other day, getting into your life, you know,
Yeah.
people don't say, oh, I wish I would have worked more. I wish I would have, built this, maybe they talk about building a company, but it's mainly about like their family and the people they know and spending more time with them. Those are the things they wish they would have done more of. And like things like this, that we're doing this week, like that's what we're going to remember.
Yep.
And it's, like you talk about having a strong why a lot, like it's the why that gets these things.
Yeah.
It makes the work worth it.
Yeah. I think that, a lot of people think, well, I've got, 20 more years of this or whatever. Like, just say we're going to go to, Disney for however many years. And I think about a lot with my parents. My parents are in their early 50s, so they could, I could have 30 more years with my parents. But I don't see my parents every day.
Yeah.
So I don't remember who said this. And again, everything I say that sounds nice, it did not come from me. But he said, you don't have 30 years left with your parents. You have so many moments left with your parents. You only have, so many Christmases left with them, and so many weekends left with them, so many.
Jesse Itzler.
Yeah,
Itzler.
yeah. And so that really put it in perspective for me, because it's like, and even just Sam, I'm not with Sam 24/7, so I only have so many mornings I get to wake up with Sam, so many bath times, like especially with Mill. I mean, eventually I'm not going to be giving Mill baths anymore.
Yeah.
And there's some times where I just don't. She, especially because she fights us on brushing her teeth and stuff. And there's somebody else talking about eventually, those little fingerprints on the glass are going to stop showing up, and it annoys you right now. And it's like, I think that, and Sam's, I don't know how she does it. She's so good about like staying patient, and because I just want, I maybe it's just being a guy, the drama just like drives me nuts sometimes. But eventually one day she's not going to whine and cry and want us, and so I try to enjoy even the drama at times.
Yeah, it is tough. Like that's one of those things that I'm excited to see for you, Aaron, like to experience those first moments. And like, that's when people ask us, like, we don't have it figured out. We have one in that 2 month, like a 13-month-old. Like, we don't have it figured out, but we have gone through 13 months of his life. And like, looking back now, I'm like, just soak it all in. Like, the night you're up at 2 a.m. and he's crying, or whether you're driving around, like me and Savannah countless times. We just go drive around in the middle of the night. Not in the middle of the night, at like 8, 9 o'clock. When they're early, like they just sleep. Like there's no like sleep schedule or anything. But he would just be crying at home and he wouldn't do anything. But he loved the car. Like we would just go drive. Like, would I rather be sitting in my house at 9 o'clock? Like, yeah, but we would just go drive. Like we'd go look at Christmas lights, and those are like some of our best memories at the end of the day.
Yeah,
like getting to do that. And so. Soaking those moments up is something that I think everybody does need to take a little bit more advantage of. Take on the financial risk. I mean, I don't know. It's tough when you get into that, because I don't want to advise you to make a bad financial decision. If you don't need, like, you can't go on every trip. You can't go on every vacation. But at the same time, you want to make those memories. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. And you have to learn some delayed gratification, I believe. There's a time in life where you're going to say, hey, these next 12, 18, 24 months, like, we're building, we're growing, we're going to miss out on some things, but we're playing the long game here. And we have friends who have done that, like serious delayed gratification. 5 years ago had nothing. Now they are building a lot more than most people ever do in their entire lifetime. Mm-hmm. And it's changed in the course of 5 years because they said no to a lot of things. And it's one of those things that it's hard in the moment. You gotta know your why. You gotta push through. But with all of that said, take one trip a year. Take the moments to spend with the family and create those memories at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
I really like what you were saying earlier. We're talking about, people thinking they're locked in a box and just have to go there 9 to 5 and do that stuff. And you I'm trying to remember the exact word you said is everyone has the same opportunity. That's what you said. And, that something that gets thrown around a lot is like privilege. And, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. And it really falls back, and it's a mentality. And it's the same type of people that when they get fired, they blame it on anyone else.
Yeah.
Because they think, well, the government has, the way the inflation is now, I can't afford a home. And the way that our parents and grandparents left the country to us. And the way that, minimum wage is too low. And everything is everyone else's problem. And I've just heard so many people talk about how if all you ever do is every wrong thing that happens in your life, and maybe it is. I mean, there are plenty of people that their life is just terrible. And I know those people. It's
they got a bad straw.
They did. But I also know so many people that have that bad draw, and they are killing it, and have done so many great things. And so I look at them and think, okay, it's possible. And when you just set up everything in your life as a crutch, that everything that bad that's going to happen to you is it's the fault of someone else. It's because I didn't have this. It's because I have a disability here, or my parents didn't make so much money, and I think not to say those things don't matter, but if you're someone that I guess is listening right now and you're in that boat, that's like, I just don't have that kind of money. My parents were poor. I took on debt. That may be true, and your life might really suck right now. But if you can say that stuff's true, it sucks, but I got to do something to move forward from this. That's where the first step's going to take, because your life will be that way forever.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee you your life will be crappy forever if all you do is sit around and talk about how you're not going to be able to do anything because you don't have that privilege and opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, perspective is everything. There's that quote, you can't go back and change the past, but you can start where you are and change the future. And it's like, you can't change your upbringing, you can't change the hand you've been dealt sometimes. But if you have the perspective that, hey, has someone else in life had it harder than me and gotten through it? The answer is always yes.
Yeah.
If that's true, then it's like, okay, well, they're a person, you're a person. That's what I always think. It's like, then if they could do it, I can do it, right? And
breathe the same oxygen.
Yeah, same oxygen. Maybe they're a little smarter, but hard work can outbeat intelligence any day. So like it may take a little longer, but you can get there.
Yeah. My dad is one of those people. He grew up dirt poor. He didn't have anything. He talks about it a lot, and he's done very, very well for himself. And he owns some property, and he really is one of the definitions of self-made. And I'm not naive to the fact that I've grown up very privileged, and so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's not that hard, you can do whatever you want, because really it was, I would say end of my undergrad, beginning of my graduate career, I was struggling, and it was from the mentality of, why is God putting me through the things he was putting me through, and this is what's important to me, is where my relationship is with God. And so, but I was in a place where I was so frustrated with why God had dealt me the hand he had dealt me, and I was so mad. And when you finally just hand everything over to God and say, look, I don't know why you're doing it, but I'm going to trust that you're working this out for the glory of you. And I think my perspectives have shifted and said, when bad things happen, instead of saying, well, okay, well, what bad thing's going to happen next, is what good's going to come out of this? What opportunity is going to happen out of this? What door is God going to open? And even if a door doesn't open, even if an opportunity doesn't come, I think that just mentality alone has really helped me just to step back and say, look, if he's going to take care of the birds and feed them, I think I'll be all right.
Yeah, we did speaking of Jocko, I did a show on this a couple weeks ago. There's only one answer, and it's good.
Yeah.
Jocko, have you seen that video?
That's a good video, yeah.
Like, good. Like, that's what you say to anything. And when you attack it with that mindset, it makes you turn things into a positive, put a positive spin on things. Like, and you can do that with anything.
Yeah.
Like, literally anything. Like, you can do that with death. If you're a person of faith and your relative dies, you know what you can say, good, we're going to have a funeral, we're going to present the gospel, and people are going to get saved. Mm-hmm. Like, there's literally, in any situation, you can say good and put a positive spin on it. And it's not easy to do, but it's a mindset, it's a discipline that you have to implement into your life. And that whole thing of, like, you can blame the way you're raised. And I have people that I went to school with, that I've grown up around, that have kept that mindset. And I know, like, they blame everything on their past. They blame everything on the way they're raised, and they're raised in a broken home, and this and that and the other, and they didn't have anything. Did that make it a little tougher? 100%. I'm not gonna stand and say that. I haven't gone through that, but I know that you sat here and the water's off again. It's gonna be really quiet. Aaron, Aaron, you can say, like, you didn't have it easy. Like, your parents passed when you were early in life, like really young. Chase came out of nowhere. I did not expect this to come back on.
Our producer, Chase.
Yeah, that's right. Chase is the producer behind the scenes. He's over there messing with the mixer.
You're turning into a cold brew.
Yeah. That's about what this hot tub feels like. Your parents died when you were how old?
My mom when I was 12, my dad when I was 25.
Okay, so your dad raised you and how many siblings?
6 total.
From a pretty young age on.
Yeah, the youngest was 2 when my mom passed.
Like, you can't sit here and tell me you didn't have it easy. Like, you did not have it, like, easy. Mm-hmm. You had to work. You had to learn. You had to grow up. You had to mature really early on in life. Mm-hmm. You could blame a lot of things on that. You could say, well, I didn't have a mother who loved me, or I didn't have that relationship, that that parental guidance from a mother and a father. And you could say all that, and you could use it, and there might be some validity to it.
Yeah.
But where would they get you?
Yeah, it's not helping anything.
It's not helping anything. And that's what I don't understand why guys do that. And I'm preaching to the choir. Most of you guys listening are in this position of you don't think this way because you're running a business. But it's just that like when you can get that out of your mind of like stop blaming other people for your mistakes and not even your mistakes, but just like your life circumstances. It just is what it is. You can't change it. Just adapt and move on. I don't know. I don't know. That topic gets me fired up because I see people who are my age, and I see where I am, and I see where they are, and there's no reason they shouldn't be past where I am, except for the fact that they just make bad decisions, and make excuses.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so thankful for my dad. And he just, like I was saying, grew up so poor, and I remember he's like the hardest worker I've ever met in my life. I mean, he always grown up. He had so many different things. Like I said, he owns rental properties. Always had some. He would go sell scrap and just anything to provide. And again, wasn't to have all this money to save up, but it was because he wanted to put me in college. He wanted to, and something I hated as we talked about. Why is this going this way now? And you look back on it, you're like, I'm glad that happened. And he worked me. I was probably cutting grass at 9 years old, and I would work in scrap yards with him by 12, 13 years old. And I remember one day we were working like dogs, and I was sweating. I couldn't have been but 13 years old. And I remember like, Dad, why are we doing this? Why are we working? I mean, I went to a private school. I had a car.
You probably weren't making money doing it either.
No, I just remember like, why are we doing this? And my dad looked at me and said, son, I'm trying to break this curse on our family, and it starts with you. And I'll never forget that because it was like and then when I finally got to talk to my dad, now that I'm older, I mean, we have more of a friendship relationship. We'll go have breakfast together, and he'll talk to me about things, talk to me about finances, and that's one of the things that I've seen is just all he's ever known is men in his life have worked themselves to death, and he was like, I'm not putting my son through that, and so it was a huge, huge accomplishment for him to be able to send me to college, to be able to watch me start my business, and it's been awesome to see. It's weird to say this, but it's been awesome to kind of see how proud my dad has been of me. And I don't know if that sounds weird to say, but because I just have so much respect for him to be like, I've seen how much work you put in for me, and you're seeing that your hard work pay off through me.
Yeah. It has to make you happy a little bit.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Like it, and I think you probably like it. It goes back to anybody that you have influence over, anybody that you are some sort of leader for. You're gonna feel that way. Like, if you saw some of your students go on to be professors or whatever, that like take on a role that they were in your class for, you're going to be like, well, like that makes you really proud, Aaron. Like some of your siblings that are younger that you helped raise, literally helped raise them. Like you're seeing them now succeed. A lot of your siblings are doing great things, and it has to sit back and just be like, wow, like that makes you proud. I mean, it's cool.
It's very humbling, like when you feel like you may have been a part in something like that, and
in not an egotistical way at all. Literally just like hey, it's paying off. Like all the time and stuff we invested, it's paying off.
Yeah.
There's real results.
Makes you want to do more of that. Makes you want to be more intentional. Makes you want to continue to pay that forward. And like you mentioned earlier, like people can make excuses and see the negative, but like how I view, my parents, I don't view it from the lens of like, oh, they died when I was young. I view it from I was very blessed to have good parents, even though it was for a short time, because a lot of people have bad parents for their entire life.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather have the parents I did for the short time than have bad parents my entire life. So even though, like I said, there are challenges that came with it, there are, we as believers, know there is something after this. We have that to look forward to. Yeah. But also, like, I had the blessing of having a lot of values and hard work instilled in me early on, which now I'm benefiting from, and I know that, it's from them. And that's, there's always a little part of people that, pass away that live on in us, and getting to see that, especially my younger siblings, is really cool.
Yeah. I think that's, the way you said that was just incredible. Like, instead of focusing on, well, my parents did pass away, you really do. You just say, no, I had great parents for that time, and that just goes right back to what we've been saying about in this specific topic with people focusing on the negative, because so many people would focus on just the negative, but I think that's so admirable to be like, no, I mean, I had great parents for the time. I'd much rather have that, because I know my parents got divorced when I was 2, so that's all I've ever known is divorce. And I remember when I was very young, I remember thinking, I wish my parents never got divorced, Now I'm 27 years old, and I have such a great relationship with my step parents and my step siblings, and I wouldn't want to change that. And I'm sure I didn't get to see it, but for my older siblings, I'm sure it was rough on them. But I wouldn't, and I know they would feel the same way. They wouldn't want to change that thing for the world. Having the step parents that we have now, and so I think there's something so admirable about what you just said about being able to say, yeah, that was a crappy situation, but I just don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Well, the hot tub seems to be getting colder by the second.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer I can take
It's
this.
a cold plunge by the end of the night.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna hop in
my
the pool.
first cold plunge live on the podcast. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I think it's been a good conversation. I hope the Jets didn't bother you too bad, but I think we're mic'd up high enough to where it sounded all right. If you made it through to this point, thank you for listening to the entirety of the show. It's been a good one. I'm excited to just see where the future goes. Thank you all for coming on. Maybe do this again one time when we get home. Get into some more, go a little deeper in things. I enjoy getting to talk to like-minded people, friends, family, and just kind of share our story and what we're going through. So it really does mean the world to each and every one of us that y'all listening out there and just support the show, share the show. That's what we need the most. That's the best way to support us. We got Christmas coming up, so I hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas. If you don't listen to the show between now and then, we'll have quite a few, but if you move on and life doesn't, maybe you're not out in the field on the mower and you don't put your headphones back in, then have a very Merry Christmas. But we're going to sign off from the hot tub tonight. Aaron, Noah, thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you for
Let
having
it
me
do
on,
it,
man.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for everything that you do for us. Just continue to help us grow the community one relationship at a time, because that's what we're here for. So without further ado, that's going to wrap this episode up, and we look forward to catching up with everybody here on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green podcast. It is an honor to have you listening, and we hope you receive valuable advice to help take your business to the next level. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.